What's happening, everybody? Nick Olson, Chupacabra Offroad, and we're back with part 2 of the discussion on the new Speed UTV. Welcome back, everybody, and if you guys haven't seen already, we did a part 1. The video link will be in the description below. So for part 2 of the live Q&A, Robby Gordon and the team over at Speed UTV did a nice little 45-minute presentation where they spent about a third of the time going over what they covered last week, a third of the time answering questions from last week as well as this week, and then they spent the last third talking about the new motor. So I want to say thanks to Robby and the team at Speed for being so transparent. I think it's really cool. They are going consumer direct and just really answering live questions as Robby was doing his presentation. So I think it's important that they do this. They're kind of starting from scratch. They're going against, two proven competitors in the marketplace. Allowing all of us to ask our questions and then answering is a really big deal, and I think if they keep this up throughout the summer, by the time this vehicle releases, which they did say will be around November, a lot of us are going to have more information just to choose whether or not we want to go ahead and purchase one of these new Speed UTVs. So after watching this presentation, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do. I mean, not only did they mention everything that we covered last week, but they also mentioned by summer of 2021, they are going to have a closed, sealed cab with air conditioning and a heater, which sounds amazing, but again, it's all stacking up, guys. We're talking about building a new vehicle from scratch. They're doing their own shocks, and as we're gonna cover in a second, now they're building their own motor. A lot of the original speculation was that they were going to be either potentially using a Z1 or Z1 base motor or going with the Yamaha motor. Robby and the team revealed that they're going to be doing their own motor. This is a lot of engineering that they've got to get done here in a pretty short amount of time. So way above my pay grade. They've got a lot of work to do to get all these components ready for production coming up later this year. All right, so let's get into the motor. Like I said, it's not going to be a Z1 based or a Yamaha. And the reason for this is Robby said they want to be in control of their own destiny. So I love this. You don't want to be restricted by another manufacturer, maybe not selling you the motors or being, crippled by this if there is an issue that arises. They have complete control, and what they decided to do was put in a twin-cylinder 999cc. He did mention they needed to be under 1,000 cc's for it to be a production UTV. There have been some mentions of a big bore kit as an upgraded accessory. So this motor is going to be putting out 230 horsepower, and that's going to be achieved with a turbocharger, which is going to be putting out about 20 pounds of boost. Now, there is an upgradable feature. You can buy a speed key for $1. This is going to bump the horsepower to 300, and that increases the boost of the turbo to 30 PSI. Now, there is an asterisk in the presentation. If you do choose to spend that $1, get the speed key, get the 300 horse, you are going to void the warranty. Now, this is like my words from last week coming back to haunt me. I talk about how this is probably the almost a perfect blend of a production UTV and a fully built custom race car, or sand car pre-runner built car. Well, the beauty of these UTVs, guys, these side-by-sides, is that they do have a warranty. And take it from me, if you guys have been following our channel, you've seen that we built a race car from scratch, essentially. I had a chassis built, and I had a guy put the vehicle together. I had one guy tune it. Multiple people have touched this thing, and it's turned into a lot of issues, guys. And there's no warranty on that type of thing. So when there's an issue, I pull out the wallet, and you pay for it. Versus my stock turbo, which has the warranty. It's been almost flawless. I've had one small issue. It's that peace of mind that when it comes from the manufacturer with the warranty, you don't mess with it. You can have a lot of trouble-free rides. And if you've been watching the channel, I've taken my Razor to GLAMIS several times this year, all different types of trips. I've got more trips planned once we get through this big pandemic. And there's a big beauty. Trust me, guys, all of you sand car guys, you pre-runner guys, maybe you've sold those vehicles and got a production side-by-side for this reason. It's somebody else's problem. The parts are readily available. The dealer's got your back. The manufacturer's got your back. They're going to fix it if there is an issue, versus you just taking it to your transmission guy and your motor guy and your electrical guy. It's a big headache, guys. So if I go buy one of these things, I'm not sure. Obviously, I'd love to see what the 300 horsepower would be. That would, turn around and potentially bite me if there was an issue. Who knows? So since we're talking about horsepower, let's talk about it for a minute. So talk about my stock Razor Turbo S. It's a good baseline vehicle because my Turbo S weighs 1,990 pounds stock, and I've easily got 250 pounds in accessories, with my roof rack, my windshield, my spare tire carrier, lights, etc. And with my 33-inch Tensor DS tires on my Method wheels, I'm 78 inches wide. So I'm about the exact same width as what this Speed UTV is going to be. I'm about the exact same weight as this vehicle is going to be. And my RZR is a 117-inch wheelbase, which is only about 3 inches shorter than what this vehicle will be. So you can tell why I'm excited about the Speed. It matches the dimensions of my current RZR, which I absolutely love. And my RZR powertrain is still stock at 168 horsepower. So check out some of my videos. There's one video in particular where I'm following my friends in sand cars out in GLAMIS. I mean, 168, I'm keeping up with them. You know, you're having to really push the car at that stock horsepower to keep up on a faster dune ride. And I hope this is some good food for thought. You can check out some of those videos if you want to really get a comparison of how much horsepower do you need or how much do you want. So, but of course, horsepower is not really about what we need. Everyone wants more. So we'll see how it goes. So getting back to horsepower, 230 horsepower, 20 pounds of boost. So as a comparison, 2020 CanAm X3 XRS RR is 195 horsepower stock. Evo Power Sports is the most popular option, and if you go on their website, their stage 1 power upgrade is 18 pounds of boost, their stage 2 is 19 pounds of boost, and their stage 3 is 20 pounds of boost. Now, all the X3 guys that really want to step their game up, Evo makes a bigger Dynamite turbo kit, and this Dynamite turbocharger is bigger and it puts out 310 horsepower at 29 pounds of boost. This requires a bigger intercooler, ARP head studs, a few upgrades. Of course, it's going to void the warranty, and you've got to run 110 octane or E85, which is similar to this Speed, to get to 300 horse. So just to sum it up, to get the 300 horsepower, $1 speed key, void your warranty, and the motor achieves the 300 horsepower with the flex fuel calibration and the dual injectors coming through the single throttle body. Now, Robby and the team didn't talk much about the drivetrain or the transmission. They said they're going to be doing that next week. He mentioned again that it is a CVT, and he did answer a question live on the spot where a customer had a question that affects all of us. Hey, we all know with CVT with belts, the belt heat and the belt braking is the biggest weakness. How are you going to address it? And Robby said that there's going to be an infrared belt temp sensor that the ECU can read, and essentially it's going to have a warning light. Hey, when the belt's starting to get too hot, it's going to let you know. He also mentioned that you can turn this switch off, you can drive however you want to drive it, and then if it breaks, it's on you. But I love how he's mentioned several times throughout this presentation that he knows what people are going to do to these things. He mentioned taking them to the Mud Nationals and burying these things in the mud in relation to the bearing life and the way he's designing the bearings. Robby gets it. He knows what the customers are going to do to this thing, and he's trying to engineer that into the vehicle, into all aspects, from the chassis to the motor, suspension, everything else. Now, last week I said it was a little convoluted. Robby said there was $2,500 in accessories. The communication previously had been $5,000. He addressed it. He did say that these first 500 limited edition vehicles, special edition vehicles, are going to come with beadlock wheels. And when you add that up with the carbon fiber seats, with the roof, with the custom graphics package, you're closer to the $5,000 in upgrades, which they had promised. So speaking of seats, another customer had a question which really is helpful to the community. The guy was huge. He doesn't fit in most side-by-sides. Now, I know a lot of you guys that are big, particularly with the Polaris RZR, you know, pre-Pro XP, don't even fit into one. So a lot of guys have bought X3s, the Pro XP, these bigger vehicles that have more legroom. And with my RZR Turbo S, yes, I'd love to have a couple extra inches of legroom. It would be really nice. I'm kind of at the limit at 6'3" tall. They did mention that they're going to offer an XL seat option, and Robby also mentioned some seat brackets to move the seat back for more legroom for you bigger guys that are essentially bigger than me at 6'2", 6'3" inches tall and above, or a little bit wider. Couple quick notes on the two-seat version. Robby mentioned that there are going to be 2 different wheelbase in the 2-seat models of the UTT, they're calling it. The first one is going to be 110 inches, which is about 10 inches shorter than the 4-seater. And then in his presentation, he mentions a 95-inch wheelbase. So some of the guys that did order some of the 2-seat models at the SAND show that want the shorter version of the 2-seater are going to have to wait. 500 of these 4-seaters are supposed to be coming first, followed by the 110-inch wheelbase UTT, followed by the shorter 95-inch wheelbase 2-seater. So been definitely convoluted for you 2-seat guys that are interested, but if you do want the short version, you are going to be waiting a little longer than all the rest of us. So last week, Robby Gordon said that this vehicle is really set up to withhold the abuse of 35-inch tires. He did mention this time that if you do put on 35-inch tires, there's going to be about 1.5 inches of trimming of the front fender that you're going to need to do. The rears are fine, and then in the rear bed, it's going to hold a 35-inch tire stock. So more importantly, not only will they fit without rubbing, but the whole vehicle has been designed to withstand the abuse of a bigger 35-inch tire. Now, one thing I forgot to mention last week, the steering rack is really beefy. It's more of like a trophy truck style design, which he called it. It looks like on paper it's far beefier than any stock steering rack of any production side-by-side. And that's really, really exciting. We recently shot a video with Wayne Israelson, who is a suspension guru, and Wayne rode in a CanAm at King of the Hammers last year with 35-inch tires. I asked Wayne flat out, hey Wayne, are 35-inch tires the holy grail? And he said yes, the car handled amazing, but after his experience, the whole car was ripped to shreds. So it sounds like in a perfect world, if you have a side-by-side that's built to withstand the abuse of a bigger 35-inch tire, it's going to be an amazing vehicle, which sounds like this is Speed's goal, really, to have everything thought out so that they can run 35-inch tires. So we all know in off-road, bigger tires are better. You're going to get more ground clearance. It holds a line better when you're going fast through rough terrain. And a lightweight 35-inch tire like the Tensor DS is 44 pounds, and a lot of these 35-inch tire offerings, which are coming to market by multiple manufacturers, are close to 50 or above 50 pounds. So that's a big tire that's going to cause a lot of wear and tear, as you've seen from a lot of guys that have X3s and Razor turbos that have been running 35s. Yes, you can do it, but the bigger question is how much long-term damage does it cause to the rest of your vehicle? And that's something that sounds like Speed is being very thoughtful of. So I'm really excited about that. So to sum it all up, I think the Speed UTV team is doing a good job. Sitting back and thinking about it really makes me think, you know, like they've got a lot of work to do to get this thing really dialed and to get it shipped. So I'm really excited to see hopefully some prototypes running around in the wild. I want to see some videos of this thing ripping at GLAMIS this summer when it's 110 degrees, putting it through the paces. And, you know, like I mentioned, I mean, their whole new motor, all new shocks, all new vehicle. I mean, that's a lot. And, you know, a lot of people probably think there's no way this can come together. And if it does come together, how reliable is everything going to be? So I think their goal for this year is making 500 vehicles, make them awesome, make them a tremendous value. There's a lot of people that aren't going to buy because they're really skeptical of, is this vehicle going to get built, and then is it going to be reliable? But if they knock this out of the park, then next year I think they're going to sell thousands of these vehicles. So, you know, 2,000 to 5,000 I think is not unrealistic. Tune in next week. We'll go over part 3 where we're going to talk about the transmission, the CVT. That's really something that a lot of people are going to have probably the most questions about. So that's it for this week, guys. Tune in next week for part 3. We'll follow up after they do the presentation on the gearbox and the CVT. We'll see what they've got to say. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. We've got a lot more coming your way.